Can you imagine standing on a quiet dirt road and suddenly feeling the ground begin to shake beneath your feet? Not from an earthquake, not from a train, but from a vehicle. A vehicle so large, so loud, and so powerful that people once mistook it for a moving factory. You probably think the biggest vehicles in history came from the age of diesel or modern mining trucks. But long before that, humans built mechanical giants powered by nothing more than fire, water, and pressure. And here's the wild part. Many of the biggest steam-powered vehicles ever built didn't run on rails. They rode freely across fields, roads, forests, and even city streets. Most people today have no idea they ever existed. But once you see them, you'll never forget them. You're about to step back into a time when steam ruled the world, when size mattered more than speed, when raw force was the ultimate goal. And the machines I'm about to show you weren't experiments or one-off concepts. They were working beasts. They pulled entire farms, flattened landscapes, moved buildings, and powered civilizations forward. Stick with me because each one gets bigger, stranger, and more unbelievable than the last. Let's start in the late 1800s, when farms were still ruled by horses and muscle. Imagine acres of land that needed plowing, day after day with nothing but human strength and animals. Progress was slow, exhausting. Then one day a monster rolled in from the horizon. The Case 65 horsepower steam traction engine. This wasn't a tractor like you imagine today. This thing weighed over 20 tons. Its rear wheels were taller than a grown man. When it moved, it didn't roll so much as crush the earth beneath it. Powered by a massive coal-fired boiler, it produced more pulling force than dozens of horses combined. Farmers watched in disbelief as it dragged multi-blade plows through soil that once took weeks to prepare. You didn't drive this machine. You managed it. You fed it coal. You watched the pressure gauges like your life depended on it. Because it did. Steam pressure was everything. Too low and the machine stalled. Too high and things went very wrong. But when everything was balanced, this giant moved with unstoppable confidence. It didn't care about mud. It didn't care about hills. It just kept going. Some farmers said the ground trembled when it passed. Others said it sounded like thunder that never ended. Today, a few of these still exist in museums, fired up only on special occasions. And when they move, people still stop and stare, just like they did over 100 years ago. But if you think that was big, the next machine was built not for farms, but for roads. And it didn't pull the earth. It flattened it. The Aveling and Porter steam road roller changed how the world was built. Before this machine, roads were uneven, muddy, and unreliable. This roller weighed more than 30,000 pounds. Its front drum alone was wider than a modern car. Powered by a twin-cylinder steam engine, it slowly crawled forward, pressing stone and gravel into solid ground. At just a few miles per hour, it transformed chaos into smooth roads. Picture yourself standing nearby as it works. You hear the hiss of steam, the deep clank of metal. The smell of coal smoke fills the air. Every inch forward feels deliberate, powerful. Finally, these rollers were so effective that entire cities reshaped their infrastructure around them. Without them, modern roads wouldn't exist. Some of these very machines were used to pave roads still driven on today, and a few are still operational, rolling proudly at vintage engineering shows. Their massive drums gleaming in the sun dot. Now here's where things get strange. Steam didn't stop at farms and roads. It moved into forests. Deep, wild forests where trees were taller than buildings. Logging was brutal work, dangerous, slow, until someone had an insane idea. What if a steam engine could drag entire trees out of the woods? Enter the steam skidder. These machines look like nightmares made of steel. Enormous boilers mounted on reinforced frames. Steel cables thicker than your arm. Steam-powered winches capable of ripping massive logs from the ground like toys. One famous example was the Washington Iron Works steam skidder. It didn't roll much. It anchored itself. Then it pulled. Trees snapped. Roots tore free. Logs weighing tens of thousands of pounds slid across forest floors. Entire landscapes changed in weeks instead of years. The sound alone was terrifying. Steam screamed from valves. Cables whined under tension. Workers kept their distance, knowing one failure could be fatal. Today, very few of these survived. They were worked to death, but their impact on industrial logging changed North America forever. And just when you think steam vehicles couldn't get more outrageous, someone decided they needed to move entire buildings. Not parts of buildings, the whole thing. That's where steam traction engines became mobile haulers. Massive engines were hitched to wheel platforms, carrying houses, factories, even churches. Streets filled with spectators as buildings slowly crawled through towns. It sounds impossible, but photographs prove it happened. Steam didn't just move machines. It moved civilization itself, but we're just getting started. Because the next vehicle wasn't content pulling farms, roads, or forests. It was designed to pull other machines. Even trains. Imagine a machine so powerful that it could tow a full-size locomotive. Not on tracks, on dirt. That machine existed and it came from England. The Fowler steam plowing engine was one of the most extreme steam vehicles ever built. These weren't tractors in the usual sense. They worked in pairs. Two massive steam engines sat on opposite sides of a field, connected by a steel cable. Between them was a plow system that cut deep into the soil. Instead of driving across the field, they pulled the plow back and forth using pure pulling force. Each engine weighed over 16 tons. Together, they delivered more power than many early trains. Standing near one felt unreal. The boilers towered over men. The flywheels spun slowly but with terrifying momentum. When the cable tightened, the entire machine leaned into the pull. Soil exploded upward as the plow tore through land that had never been touched before. This system revolutionized agriculture in heavy soils where wheeled tractors couldn't operate. Some of these engines were later repurposed for hauling. And yes, records exist of Fowler engines pulling derailed locomotives back onto tracks. Steam power at its absolute limit. But England wasn't alone in building monsters. Across the Atlantic, America was pushing steam even further. The Nichols and Shepard 110 horsepower steam tractor wasn't just big. It was absurd. This machine was over 23 feet long and weighed more than 40,000 pounds. Its rear wheels stood nearly 8 feet tall. When it moved, it felt less like a vehicle and more like a moving building. Its boiler could swallow a man standing upright, and its engine produced enough torque to pull over 30 plow blades at once. You didn't steer this machine casually. Turning required planning, space, time. Entire fields were designed around its movement. When it worked, crews followed behind like ants, watching acres of land fall before it. This tractor wasn't practical for small farms. It was built for vast plains where nothing else could handle the workload. Only a handful were ever made because few places could even use them. Today, just one is known to survive, preserved as a reminder that humans once built machines without compromise. Now let's talk about something even more unexpected. Steam vehicles weren't always ugly. Some were beautiful, almost magical. Enter the Burrell Scenic Showman's engine. This machine looked like it came from a fantasy novel. Bright paint, gold trim, hundreds of lights powered by onboard steam-driven generators. But beneath the decoration was serious muscle. These engines hauled entire traveling fairs across countries. Rides, equipment, tents, everything. At night, they glowed like moving cities. Children chased them. Adults stared. The engine hissed and sparkled as it rolled into town. It powered rides during the day and lit the fair at night. One machine did everything, and it weighed over 30 tons fully loaded. Some of these engines traveled thousands of miles in their lifetimes. Amazingly, several still exist, restored to their original glory, still lighting up crowds over a century later. But beauty wasn't the goal everywhere. In construction, brute force ruled. The Marion steam shovel was less a vehicle and more a moving fortress. Mounted on tracks or wheels, these machines dug canals, foundations, and mines. The biggest versions weighed over 100 tons. Their steam engines powered enormous booms and buckets that could lift more than modern excavators of similar size. When they worked, the ground disappeared. Entire hills vanished. Cities grew because these machines made it possible. You might think steam had limits, that eventually engineers ran out of ideas. But then came the Big Lizzie, officially known as the Fowler road locomotive built for Australia. This machine weighed over 45 tons. It was built to haul massive loads across deserts where railways didn't exist. It pulled trailers carrying over 100 tons of cargo. That's more than many modern trucks can handle today. Big Lizzie failed commercially due to terrain issues, but the engineering was sound. The idea was simply ahead of its time. Today, it stands preserved as one of the largest steam-powered land vehicles ever built. When you stand next to it, you don't feel like you're near a vehicle. You feel like you're near a monument. And yet, even Big Lizzie wasn't the final boss of steam vehicles. Because one machine still stands above all others, bigger, stronger, more powerful. An almost forgotten dot. Now imagine the absolute peak of steam madness. The moment engineers said, what if we stop caring about limits entirely? That's where the Case 150 horsepower steam tractor enters the story. This machine wasn't built for practicality. It was built to prove a point. And that point was power. Pure, overwhelming power. This thing produced more horsepower than some early diesel locomotives. Its engine alone weighed several tons. Its boiler required constant feeding just to stay alive. When it moved, the ground didn't just shake. It groaned. The sound wasn't a chug or a hiss. It was a deep, rolling roar that carried for miles. Crowds gathered just to watch it start. Starting, it was an event. Hours of preparation, heating, pressurizing, checking, and when it finally moved, it did so with unstoppable force. It could pull loads no other steam tractor could touch. But it was expensive, dangerous, overkill. Only one was ever built, and then steam began to disappear. Internal combustion, engines arrived. Smaller, faster, easier, steam giants were parked, scrapped, forgotten. Many were melted down for steel during wars. Others were abandoned where they stood, slowly rusting into the ground. But their legacy didn't vanish. Modern heavy machinery exists because these machines proved it was possible. Think about modern mining trucks, giant bulldozers, massive cranes. All of them follow the same principle. Big engines, massive torque, controlled power. Steam vehicles were the blueprint. And they did it without computers, without electronics. Just pressure, metal, and human nerve. Today, surviving steam giants are treated like royalty. Museums fire them up a few times a year. Engineers and enthusiasts gather around like pilgrims. When the boiler hisses and the flywheel turns, time seems to reverse. You're no longer in the modern world. You're standing at the moment humanity learned to build giants. And here's the crazy part. Many of these machines still work. Over 100 years later, maintained, loved, respected. They outlived the industries they were built for. That alone tells you how overbuilt they were. So why don't more people know about them? Because steam vehicles didn't fit into neat categories. They weren't trains. They weren't cars. They were something else. A forgotten branch of engineering evolution. Too strange to remember. Too big to ignore once you see them. And maybe that's what makes them so fascinating. They remind you of a time when humans didn't ask if something was practical. They asked if it was possible. And then they built it anyway. But before we wrap this journey up, there's one more thought worth considering. Steam didn't fail because it was weak. It failed because it was inconvenient, dangerous, labor-intensive. But in terms of raw power, it never truly lost. It was simply replaced by something easier. And if the world had gone a different way, who knows? Maybe cities today would still echo with the sound of steam. Giants rolling through the streets. As you look back at these machines, one thing becomes clear. Steam-powered vehicles weren't just tools. They were statements. Statements of confidence, of ambition, of a belief that humans could shape the world with their own hands. Each one of these giants represented a moment when engineering pushed forward without fear. You've seen machines that plowed continents, flattened roads, dragged forests, powered cities, moved buildings, and even pulled trains. And all of it was done with boiling water and iron. No microchips, no automation, just pressure and precision. It's almost hard to believe that today we measure progress in efficiency. Smaller engines, less fuel, less noise. But back then, progress meant dominance. Bigger meant better. Louder meant stronger. And steam delivered on all of it. These machines weren't subtle. They announced themselves. They demanded respect. And maybe that's why they still capture the imagination. When you see one in motion today, you don't just see history. You feel it. You feel the danger, the power, the pride of the people who built and operated them. You understand that every bolt was placed by hand. Every plate was riveted by muscle. Every journey was earned. So now I want to ask you something. Which one of these machines shocked you the most? The farm giants? The road crushers? The forest destroyers? Or the machines so powerful they pulled locomotives off tracks? If you could stand next to just one, which would you choose? If this journey opened your eyes to a forgotten chapter of engineering, make sure you let me know. Drop a comment. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you want more stories like this. Because history is full of machines that changed everything and most people never hear about them. And remember this. Before modern technology, before electronics, before computers, there was steam. And steam didn't just move the world. It built it.